Leonardo DiCaprio, here's a guy, you'll never see him walking around with a paper bag on his head. He knows how to stay calm and clearly very patient. Took him 7 years to get The Wolf of Wall Street into movie theaters. He's up for 2 Oscars, one as a producer, the other for his portrayal of Jordan Belfort, that's the stockbroker who cheated investors out of millions.
I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every time.
What made you say, I want to play that guy?
You know, this kind of culture, for a lot of us as artists, we wanted to put it up on screen. This attitude that is very real and very apparent in the world we live in, and incredibly destructive.
My name is Jordan Belfort. At the tender age of 22, I headed to the only place that befit my high-minded ambitions.
Name of the game, move the money from your client's pocket into your pocket.
We knew that people were going to have a reaction to these people. Our question was, would people even go to a movie with Wall Street in the title? Because there was such a bad taste in people's mouths about this world.
I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich!
And you've heard the criticism that, yeah, but you all didn't show the other side, the people that were hurt, the people whose lives were destroyed.
Well, it's really the first time that I've been a part of a movie that's had any real controversy behind it.
Really?
So I had to kind of look to Marty to see, okay, how do we react to this? But I think what was interesting for me, not only making the movie, but was the dialogue that happened afterwards, because that's what movies can do.
I got it. I've got it. I can roll.
And you have said that you've never done drugs, and you played such a good drug character, and I know that's called acting, but how were you able to do that with that intensity and then detach, because it was so raw?
I think it's like anything else, you just do your research.
Okay, Leo, how did you research that?
Quite specifically, the drug sequences?
Yes.
Number one, I'd spent many months with Jordan Belfort, and then there was this other video that I watched obsessively called The Drunkest Man in the World that was on YouTube, where a guy was trying to get a beer and wouldn't stop.
How were you able, listen, I haven't either ever done drugs, but how are you in Hollywood, how are you able to do that when it is so prevalent? No desire, no interest?
I think there's always an interest and a desire, but I really grew up around that. It was on my street corner, people offering me drugs at 4 or 5 years old.
So you saw it?
I saw it at a very, very, very early age, and I was just sort of horrified by how it affected people.
Is that your car on what?
Can I talk about Jonah Hill?
We go on money.
Did you bring Jonah into this project?
Well, I met him in Mexico, and he basically said to me, I know this character, I am this character. Not personally, but I know who these people are, and there's no one meant to play this except for me. And so I relayed that to Marty, and they had a 2 or 3 hour meeting, and he hired him on the spot.
I got such a kick watching Saturday Night Live recently, and Jonah was hosting. All of a sudden, Leonardo DiCaprio comes out, and it's you! And you reenact that whole Titanic scene along with the music.
Somebody suggested that right on the stage, and at first I was a little skeptical.
That's
but
what
then
I was
said,
wondering.
you know what,
yes.
This is actually pretty damn funny.
I'm wondering, Leo, when you hear the Titanic song, or I'm the king of the world, do you start cringing, or do you think, okay,
you know, it's been such a long time, but it was such, a huge part of my life.
I'm flying. Jack.
People maybe think I have a reaction to that film, but the truth is I'm incredibly proud of it. And not only that, the movie has really made me be in control of my career.
Well, listen, I first met Leonardo DiCaprio. I became smitten with Gilbert Grape. You were so good in that role.
Do the siren, okay?
And that was when you were nominated for your first Oscar. And here we go to 2014, and you're nominated for another Oscar. When you think of who Leo was back then, did you ever envision that this would be your career? You couldn't possibly have.
No, I didn't. All I remember is being paralyzed with fear that I'd have to actually get up on that stage because somebody told me 1 billion people watched that show. And that's the only thing that I really remember.
So if you win, then you have to go up and talk in front of all those people.
And I was in shambles about that. I actually didn't want to win because
Leo,
of that reason.
This is what I don't understand. You guys are actors, so why can't you go up there and act like I'm a famous actor accepting an award?
It is an entirely different
I always
process.
marvel at that.
You get takes. I mean, we can call cut.
Yes, yes,
You
yes,
know what
yes,
I mean?
yes.
That's the problem. There is no cut.
Yes.
I mean, I've had a lot more experience since then, but that was my memory.
I read that when you were younger, it was suggested to you that you change your name to Lenny Williams. Is that true? I thought maybe that was one of those urban legend stories.
No, it was true. Yeah, I think that I was a break dancer at the time, and I had this sort of step haircut. And
A break dancer?
Yeah, I was a pop locker, which I have displayed in this movie.
Yes.
You know, there's a
Yes,
moment.
yes. I saw that. I thought, I wonder who taught him to do that. You already knew how to do that.
Yeah, that was all stuff that I did before I was an actor. So, yeah, I mean, they wanted me to change my name to Lenny Williams because they said it would sound less ethnic and I would be able to get more roles. And my dad said, "Don't you dare do that."
Leonardo DiCaprio is such a great name. Last week was Valentine's Day, and I'm wondering what it takes to be Leonardo DiCaprio's Valentine. I'm not asking her name. I'm just asking what it takes, what you look for in a woman that makes you happy.
I think humility, a good sense of humor, and not a lot of drama.
Everybody wants you to get married, and by everybody I mean me.
Really? You do too?
I do. When you're ready, when you're ready. Is it something you even envision for yourself? I've read different things about how you feel about it. I'm curious.
I mean, the truth is, it's going to happen when it's going to happen, and I you know, I'm just going to let it happen naturally.
Do you need my help in
I'm
fixing
all
you up
right.
with anyone? Are you good?
I'm good for now.
What a surprise. Leo doesn't need my help fixing him up
Yeah,
with
but
people.
I love the qualities that he's looking for.
Yeah.
Humility, a sense of humor.
Yes.
No drama.
No drama, exactly.
That's
no
the thing.
drama.
I think men everywhere
Yeah.
applaud you on that. And if
Yeah.
she makes her own clothes and plays the piano, that's a plus too.
Yeah.
That's what he likes, just a good old-fashioned girl.
Yeah.
But you know, it was interesting to me that his only dream back in the day was to make enough money to go to college, and he wanted to be a marine biologist. And you know, his career got in the way, and here he is. So pulling for him.
Don't you
on
find that
Oscar
a lot
night.
of these people like Leonardo, who was such an icon, when you simply sit down and talk to them, they're very interesting.
Yes, yes. Because they really are, Charlie, as we all know, just people.
Exactly.
The same
Exactly.
issues and concerns and fears like everybody else. But he's great.
Yeah.
He's really
Nicely
great.
done.
Very nicely
Thanks,
done. Great
thanks.
interview. Beautifully done.
You know, I read that when you were younger, back to your movie career, you said, I just want to make enough money to go to college. What changed about that, and what college would you have wanted to go to?
I remember I never quite got to that point because I actually got a television show halfway through my senior year, and
Was that Growing Pains?
that was Growing Pains, yeah. And then that led to
I didn't
This
know you
Boy's
were
Life.
that little boy, by the way, until later, but go ahead,
And
yeah.
I took my GED, but I wanted to become a marine biologist. That was one of my goals, but I kind of always looked at Hollywood, even though ironically I was living in Hollywood, it always seemed like this mystical place that I could never belong to, and I never quite understood that you could actually do that as a profession. I'd been imitating people my whole life. Drama was my favorite class. I was kind of a performer at heart, but I never really understood that people actually got to do it. I thought it was kind of a hobby and a catalyst to doing something else. But then as soon as I started going on auditions, I started meeting kids that are like, well, I want to do this as a career, and one thing led to another. So
And here you are.
I then, you know, said, well, hell, if I could do this and have it be my career, that's the only thing I want to do.
As you sit here today, the environment is important to you because what? And I don't get the impression it's just photo op stuff for you, or I'm a celebrity, let me pick a cause.
Well, I've always been fascinated by, you know, this world that we live in and how destructive we are to it. And as soon as I, you know, really became an actor, that's been, you know, a parallel passion of mine, is trying to bring attention to some incredibly important issues. I think that really so little goes to protecting our planet. When you think of all of philanthropy, only 2% of philanthropy and giving goes towards the biggest life-sustaining force that we have, and that's our planet. And we're systematically polluting it. We're chopping down rainforests, destroying coral reef systems, animals, very unique creatures that have taken hundreds of millions of years to evolve are becoming extinct, and it's pretty horrific what we're doing. So, you know, I've devoted a lot of time away from acting to not only try to bring attention to it, but to bring much needed funding to a lot of these issues. And you know, that's what I'm going to spend the rest of this year doing. I don't have another project, but that's I want to do another documentary. I want to go distribute some of the funding that we accumulated from the the Christie's auction that we did here last year.
I saw that.
And so I feel like I could make a good contribution to it, but more than anything, I would really love to get a lot of the wealthiest people on earth to focus on these issues, because it's becoming pretty dire.